Welcome to another Car Talk. Today, I wanted to talk about something that actually happened at T-Mobile a few days ago. So, it was my first time seeing a customer, have a temper tantrum and get not physical with the coworkers, but physical with our stuff. I'll explain. So, from a few days ago, roughly 4 o'clock-ish. It was, well into the afternoon. Store was pretty dead. We have about 6 employees out on the floor. Now, to give you context, the way we normally do it, we work in a rotation. So, this customer comes in, I'm up, then next customer comes in, you're up, so on and so forth. It goes in a circle. Now, if you're not up, we usually then just ignore the customer. But the person who is up will, go up to the customer to not, intimidate. Because it'll be pretty intimidating for a customer if 5 employees just go, hey, how are you? You know what I mean? So usually the person who's up, they go up to the customer, and then we just go back doing what we're doing. This customer comes in. She already comes in a hostile attitude. Now, it wasn't my turn up. It was a different coworker's turn up. He goes up. He's like, hey, how are you? How can we help you? She goes in with her phone in the air and says, something's wrong with my phone. I need a new one. My coworker looks at her and says, okay. What kind of phone were you thinking of getting? And then she just says, pull up my account. And then he responds back with saying, well, what kind of phone do you want? And she says again, pull up the account. In that attitude. So then he takes her back to, we have a round table in the back, or in the back of the store. Takes her, sits her down. Then she goes, we do the process to open up the account. He opens the account, and then he looks at her and he goes, all right, the account's open. and then my manager, because now he's starting to sense, escalation starting to rise. Which, what an escalation is basically when a situation starts turning into an escalation. It's in the name. He notices the customer's getting more agitated, and my coworker's getting a little more agitated. So he starts to step in. He then tells her, would you like a Samsung? Would you like an Apple phone? Would you like a Google? And then the customer says, finally, someone with some common sense. So then my coworker looks at the lady and goes, you could work with someone else. And then he ends up standing up, and he's like, my manager's name is, for this story, we'll call him Bill. So he goes to my manager, he's like, you know what, Bill? You take this. So now my manager and the customer are interacting with each other, and he just walks back. He looks at me, and we just start laughing because it was just funny. Like, what the fuck was wrong with her? And then she starts saying, so my manager asks her again, well, what kind of phone would you want? Would you want to stick with Apple? You want to go to Samsung? And then she's like, I don't know. I'm used to going to Verizon and me setting my phone down and they just get me a new phone, no questions asked. So then my manager goes, well, it doesn't work like that here. Give us some idea on what kind of phone you want. And then she says, I don't know. I'm used to going to Verizon and giving them a phone and then giving it back. So then my manager goes, and she's getting more and more agitated and giving more and more attitude. So then my manager goes, well, it looks like you don't want to work with anyone here, so I don't really know exactly how to help you. And then she says, well, it's very intimidating as a customer when I walk into the store and I see all you guys here. So then my manager goes, are you upset that we're staffed? That we're properly staffed? And she goes, yeah, I am. It's very intimidating. And then he goes, do you want me to send 3 to the back? And then she's like, yeah, like, holy fuck. She starts cursing us out. Like, this is some bullshit. And then my manager finally goes, you know what? You can have a nice day. We're gonna ban you from the store. And then she goes, good. And then walks out. But as she's walking out, she just punches my employee's tablet, or my manager's tablet. She just goes, fuck you guys, and then walks out of the store. And we're just, it was funny because then another customer just walks in after she just hit the iPad. So then she just looks at us and she's just like, the customer just goes, what did I just miss? And then we had to explain to her that, we gave the whole explanation to her. But it was crazy. That was the first time I personally have ever seen like a customer escalate to that far, to where they hit our shit and stormed out of here cursing at us like it's T-Mobile. Clearly what she wanted was just someone to do everything for her, which is not really possible. All right, you know what? Fine then. You want us to pick out the phone for you? All right, let me get you the most expensive phone. Yep, this is the phone for you. Like, that's not how, it just doesn't work like that. You got to give us some insight into what you like, what you want, what brand you want. At least tell us the brand, and then we can work our way from there. But just nothing? All right, then I'm gonna get you whatever I feel like getting you. Stupid. I have a different story. Not something to the same extent as that. I've had a few interactions with customers and they gave me attitude. The way I usually handle it, I honestly just, depending on, if a manager overhears it, he'll probably just tell the customer to leave. Usually as us, because we could be, it's the way T-Mobile works, we have to handle customers always right. So we personally can't do anything to the customer or really say anything to the customer, because then it comes at risk for us losing our jobs. So we, as the reps, can't really say anything. It's only really the managers that can say something. So a lot of the times I will either brush off whatever they say, or I start getting short with the customers. And my niceness does start to go away a little bit. Where I'm not really smiling anymore. I'm giving you a pretty plain, just hurry the fuck up kind of expression. And my mood starts changing a little bit, like my tone of voice starts changing. That's why I have when a customer gives me attitude. But I did have this one time when a family of 4 comes in, and they all want new phones, and they all want their phones to be transferred. Now, for any of you guys who don't work in the cellular space, transfers, they take roughly, we usually estimate around 45 minutes to an hour. Which phone transfers. A lot of times they're less, sometimes they're more. It's hard to judge, so we just say it in the middle. They take around 45 minutes to an hour. This guy was coming in. His family all needed new phones. All their phones needed to be transferred. Now the person's phone, his phone was iPhone 8. We're up to the 16. That phone is 8 years old. So doing the transfer came with a little bit of complications as there, oh, what the fuck? There's a whole police escort. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's kind of, I don't know what is going on. Hold on. That is cool. It's just like a whole, not a police escort, but a whole motorcycle gang. I've never seen this before. That's sick. I hope you guys are seeing that. But, cool. Alright. Yeah, I know. I'm not gonna crash. I don't know what's going on, but something cool is happening. Anyways, back to the story. So, we start transferring the phones, start transferring the data, and we end up taking around about 4 hours with the customer, because, and it's not even though I'm not doing anything at this point. I did about an hour of work, and now the rest is just transferring data. But I was running into a lot of issues where the iPhone 8 didn't have enough storage to make a backup file to do the transfer. So we were having issues on, you know, what to delete, what exactly to do. So that was taking time, and I was getting errors to do transfers on 2 of the other phones. So a lot of time was getting wasted. But eventually we got everything ready, and we're just sitting here waiting. So I tell the guy, I'm like, well, right now I'm just sitting here watching your phones. If you want, you could go get a bite to eat, or if you got errands to run, you gotta get something at Target, you gotta go to Wegmans, I'm just gonna sit here and watch your phones. Because he wanted everything all completed when he walked out of the door, so he didn't want to walk out with the phones. I'd say that to the customer, and the customer starts giving me attitude. He tells me, well, what is this? Why is this taking so long? Like, you guys are holding me hostage. Word for word. He said, we're holding him hostage. And I look at him like, what do you mean? Well, I didn't say, what do you mean? But I said, how are we holding you hostage? You can leave the store if you want to leave the store. I'm not forcing you to stay here. You just have to come back and get your phone because you want everything completed. And then he's like, yeah, but I have to come back anyways. You're basically holding me hostage. So then my manager steps in, and now he's talking to the guy and is trying to defuse the situation by basically saying the same thing I just said. Like, you can leave. And he explained to the customer, like, you're moving up from an iPhone 8 to an iPhone 16. The transfer takes some time. The hardware is 8 generations different. So, unfortunately, there's nothing much we can do. So he just sits there upset. I don't even say anything to the fucking guy, because now he pissed me off. Like, I did mad work for you. I did your shit. And now you give me attitude because your old ass iPhone is taking over an hour to transfer the data. That's not my problem personally, but it just happened that way. Let's see. And that's kind of it as far as like bad customer interactions. I had this one lady who I was helping with setting up her phone. She finished transferring data, right? And she looks at her new phone and she's like, no, all of this is wrong. It's not supposed to look like this. And I said, well, what do you mean? She's like, the UI is different. And she moved up. It was an old Samsung. It was about a 7-year difference on the phones. Oh no, she had an S12. She moved up to an S25. For those of you who know, that's a big difference. That's like over 5 years old. So I tell her, well, you are moving up from an older phone to a new phone. They did change the UI on the new phones. It's just something you're gonna have to get used to. There's nothing I can do to change it. And she's like, yeah, but my home screen is all different. And I explained to her, yeah, because it's a new phone. They updated the software. And then she goes, I don't like it. Can you delete something? So I'm like, okay, well, I can't delete it. I can move it to a different page. That way you have nothing on your home screen. But you will have nothing on your home screen. And she's like, okay, that's fine. I just want the home screen empty. So I empty out the home screen. And then she looks at it and she's like, well, where's my picture, my wallpaper? And I was like, well, you have to add that back. Do you know? And she's like, I don't know where to go. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to show you where the wallpaper is. But then you pick out whatever wallpaper you want. So I show her in the setting. And as I'm showing her, as I'm going through the settings, she looks at me and then just says, you think you're so smart. I gave her the most confused look ever. I was like, what? I was just so confused by her comment. Because you asked me to help you. And now you're giving me like a smirk or like a snarky comment. What? So then I show the wallpaper and I just tell her, all right, well, here you go. There's her wallpaper. Go pick whatever one you want. And then she asked for help again. I told her, no, I can't help you. She pissed me off. Like, what was that comment for? So, word of advice, be nice to your cell phone reps. Unless they're being rude, they started being rude to you first, then it's understandable. Or if they misquote you, or if they're a sleazy salesman, don't do that. But if your rep is nice to you and is helping you, be nice to them, because they can change that really quickly. Technically, there's a lot of stuff that we aren't supposed to do, but we do it because, like, if I'm helping out an 80-year-old lady and she doesn't understand her phone, I'll take a little more time and explain her phone. Now, do I have to do that? No, not really. Technically, I just ring out the phone and all I do would be transfer data. That's about it, but I'm not supposed to go into the settings and play around with that with you. We do that out of the kindness of our hearts. Unless we're super busy, then I might not be able to help you. But be nice to your reps. And on that one, I'll say see ya.